Less than a week away, Thursday, July 31st at 6 Eastern. The Yankees made a move on Friday, trading for third baseman Ryan McMahon from the Rockies. But now with Aaron Judge dealing with an injury, will it prompt the club to make another 23 since June 13th, worst record in the American League over that span? We know New York seemingly out on Eugenio Suarez after acquiring Ryan McMahon on Friday. The Mariners, Reds, and Cubs in hot pursuit of the All-Star slugger. Jim, does a reunion with Seattle remain at the top of the list? And what does a trade package look like?
Yeah, it's interesting because, no, that's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that the Cubs and the Tigers and the Reds are strong in on Suarez as well, and that they have as good a chance as Seattle. Now, the Mariners shot for Suarez before they traded for Naylor, but they didn't like the prospect price it was going to take to get Suarez. That's when they pivoted and were able to get the Naylor deal done. I think it's going to be really tough for Seattle to get Suarez as well. And Jed Hoyer with the Cubs, he has been aggressive with everybody, trying to get a starting pitcher. He would love to get Suarez to even lengthen the lineup, even though the Cubs' biggest needs are probably pitching, both starting and relieving, but it sounds like they're in on it. The Reds are making a run at it. I've heard both Chase Petty and one of their shortstop third base prospects in the minor leagues as part of the package. And the Tigers would love to get Eugenio Suarez to add to that lineup as well, especially since they're struggling lately. I also heard the Mets had a conversation regarding Suarez, but I've not had that confirmed yet from either the Mets or the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, Suarez looked at as a rental. He's a free agent after this season. One of the most enticing trade targets going into the season, former Cy Young winner Sandy Alcantara, who you mentioned, but he struggled with consistency. First 4 starts in June, sharp. Next 4 starts, terrible. But his last start on Wednesday, best of the season, 7 innings, no earned runs. He's got 2 more years of team control. Jim, does his last start mean anything for his trade value?
You know, it's a great question, and let me kind of answer it this way, Hakeem. I talked to the Marlins on Friday, and what they told me was very clear. They will not trade Sandy Alcantara for a discounted return, period. So if somebody wants to trade for Sandy Alcantara between now and Thursday, they're going to have to pay the prospect price it would take to get a Cy Young Award caliber starter, a #1 starter. And he did show flashes with a couple of starts in early July, and he certainly in his last start looked really good. And they believe that they have really figured out some of the issues he was having since he's come back from the Tommy John surgery. They believe that he will have a very strong August and September that'll increase his trade value, and they can go right back and try to trade him this winter. When teams understand the price of starters start at $200 million, and you can control Alcantara for 2 more postseasons after this year, they feel like the trade value might be better then than now. And as they point out, they could also trade him next trade deadline if they wanted to. So here's my answer to you, Akeem, and I'm sorry to take it the long way, but this is just the truth. If someone will pay the prospect price to get Alcantara, they'll get him on Thursday. But the question is, if you're a GM and you've watched him all year, are you willing to pay that price for the risk that comes with Alcantara? I'm not sure I'd be completely comfortable, but I'll tell you one thing, it's high risk, high reward kind of deal, because Sandy Alcantara could win you the World Series. Remember 2017 when Justin Verlander was traded to Houston? That was the difference whether they won the World Series or not. Alcantara could be that same guy.
Quite a gamble. Would you do it if you were a GM of a prospective club?
It would depend on my system, and it would depend upon what my major league club looked like. So I'm going to answer it this way. If I were the Dodgers and I had that deep farm system, I'd probably take a chance. Yeah, I probably would. If I was the Yankees and I didn't have to include George Lombard in the deal or Spencer Jones, then I probably would. But you can't make a deal without them in it. So I think it's a fine line. You have to have more details. But I'll tell you one thing. I will bet that Sandy Alcantara next year is going to look like the guy that won the Cy Young in 2022.
All right, well, another big name being thrown around has 3 more years of team control. Guardians closer Emmanuel Clase. He did give up a 3-run homer on Saturday, the first 3-run homer of his career to the Royals. Jonathan India walked it off. Among the teams who need bullpen help, the Dodgers, the Mets, and Phillies. Jim, what's the current market look like for Clase?
Yeah, it's a great question. And by the way, the Guardians, are going to try to do a buyer for buyer kind of deal, a contender for contender kind of deal. So they're not looking to move Clase. They love him. He's got 23 saves. Going into today, his ERA is under 3, right? But they feel like they got to build up this offensive lineup, and they feel like Cade Smith could go back and close. So they're only going to trade him if they get a big return that can help their major league club now with some bats. So that being said, yeah, the 3 teams you mentioned, I find this fascinating at this trade deadline. The Mets, the Phillies, and the Dodgers have made it very clear to opposing GMs that their number 1 target right now, all 3, is bullpen help. And so they're kind of positioning themselves. Clase is one of the names. Johan Duran of the Twins, Seth Halverson of the Rockies, Ryan Helsley in St. Louis, David Bednar in Pittsburgh. Even Kenley Jansen's name has been thrown around a little bit with the Angels. But the bottom point is that all 3 of these National League contending teams have the same need. And the truth is, whatever GM can pull it off might end up being the difference maker come playoff time in October.
I love it. I love this time of the year because so many teams have needs. It could be a move here or there that becomes the difference. I mean, look, we've seen teams like the Braves with a Jorge Soler, the Red Sox with Steven Pearce making deals at the deadline that work out, and they win a World Series title. Another controllable option is White Sox outfielder Luis Robert Jr. under contract for the next 2 seasons with the next 2 seasons, $20 million club options, hitting .206 for the year, but hitting over .350 in July. Jim, where might Robert end up?
Yeah, so this is fascinating. So today he wasn't in the lineup, right, this afternoon. So I quickly got a hold of Chris Getz, the general manager of the White Sox, to say, have you traded him? Did you pull him out because you traded him? Because this time of year, that's what happens. If a star player is not in the lineup, there's a good chance he's been traded. He said no, he's got a little bit of a groin injury. They hope he's back in the lineup Sunday, if not Monday. So that's something at least to monitor. Look, he's kind of in the same boat as Alcantara. There's a lot of teams that have tried to devalue him based on the year that he's having that you talked about. But here's the thing about Robert, right? He's a plus-plus defender in center field who has won a Gold Glove. We all know he has power. We all know he can steal bases. He's also been on a last-place team the last several years. That's hard to deal with as a player, right? He's never had any help around the lineup, right? So teams pitch around him. He's gotten in some bad habits at the plate, swinging at some balls you normally wouldn't swing at because, he doesn't get the pitches. If he goes to the right team, I think he's going to have a great second half, and I think it'll go down as one of the more important trades at the deadline. I think he's a perfect fit for a team like the Philadelphia Phillies, for example. I think he'd be a nice fit for left field for the Los Angeles Dodgers if they decide to go that way. So I don't know where he ends up, but I know one thing. Chris Getz has been steadfast. He wants 2 top 10 prospects. He's been asking for that for the last year and a half. I think the bottom line, though, is if he gets the right top 10 guy and a throw-in, I think he's going to get moved. It's going to be very interesting to watch, but teams are going to watch that groin. They're going to want him to play this week before trading for him.
Trade deadline is Thursday. Jim Bowden here with the very latest on CBS Sports HQ. Jim, thanks.
Thanks, Akeem.
Always be good. Talking with Jim Bowden, he is dialed in like nobody else. And according to CBSSports.com, here's a look at the top 10 biggest names who could get traded. Pirates righty Mitch Keller, Padres righty Dylan Cease. Who Jim mentioned, Orioles All-Star Ryan O'Hearn also there. I mean, do you need a bat? You can go get Ryan O'Hearn, Cedric Mullins, his teammate, also a trade target as well. Hey, when a player gets traded, we'll be here for reaction and analysis, and we'll have complete trade deadline coverage on Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern.